If you're over 60 and planning to fly in 2026, new TSA and European border rules can now get you denied boarding, even if your ticket, medications, and passport all look perfect. Airlines will happily take your money, then refuse you at the gate over one tiny detail buried in the fine print. What I'm about to share in this video could save you thousands of dollars and prevent one of the most embarrassing and stressful moments of your life at the airport. Welcome to U.S. Immigration Intel, your most trusted source for everything related to travel documentation, visa requirements, and international travel rules. I'm here today to expose the 8 ID and passport traps that are catching older travelers right now in 2026. TSA and border agencies have rolled out new rules that are blindsiding thousands of travelers. And if you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, what you're about to learn could be the difference between walking onto your dream vacation and being turned away right at the gate. I went through more than 200 complaints from older travelers and spoke with 3 retired TSA supervisors, and the same 8 traps kept coming up again and again. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to fix at home, so no one at TSA, the gate, or European Border Control can send you back. Stay with me because rule number 3 is the one that gets more older travelers pulled aside than all the others put together, and most people don't even realize it's a rule. Let me paint you a picture. You arrive at the airport thinking you've done everything right. You showed up 2 hours early like they told you. Your medications are in the original bottles. You even brought a note from your doctor just to be safe. But buried in the fine print starting January 1st, 2026, there are 8 major passport and ID rules in the United States and in Europe that quietly punish anyone who hasn't kept up with every new update. These aren't small inconveniences. These are trip-ending, money-draining problems that hit when you're already at the airport with no way to fix them. Let's start with rule number 8, the fake passport expiration date. Here's what most travel agents never say out loud and what catches so many people by surprise. The expiration date printed in your passport is not the real deadline for international travel. Let me give you a real example. Say you book a trip to Thailand. Your passport expires March 15th. Your flight is January 10th. You look at it and think, more than 2 months left. I'm fine. Everything looks good. You get to check in and the agent stops you cold. Thailand requires your passport to be valid at least 6 months from your entry date. You try to explain that you'll be back in 2 weeks. They don't care. The result? $2,400 in non-refundable tickets gone in one conversation. Just like that, your trip is over before it even started. A lot of travelers in their 60s and 70s get caught by this because dozens of countries now use some version of the 6-month rule. Much of Asia follows it strictly. Parts of Africa require it. Even some Caribbean islands enforce it. It's easy to miss if you're not glued to travel news every single day. And here's the thing, renewing a passport isn't always a quick errand anymore. Getting to the office, standing in line, dealing with delays, all of that takes more out of you than it did when you were 30. So what do? Check your passport right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Add 6 months to your entry date and your return date. If your passport expires anywhere in that window, you need to renew it immediately. In the United States, you can start the process at travel.state.gov. Processing takes about 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes longer during busy seasons. So don't wait until December for a January trip. Here's a pro tip that most people never think about. Take a photo of your passport's expiration date and set a phone reminder 10 months before it expires. That gives you a calm 2-month buffer to renew without panic. Rule number 7, the invisible damaged passport. Passport expiry is still the easy problem compared to what happens when your passport looks brand new and the system decides it's damaged. Immigration officers have told me off the record that they're now rejecting passports for damage you can't even see with your own eyes. Your passport looks fine, the cover is clean, the pages are smooth, the photo is clear, but you've built one habit over the years, you fold it and slide it into your back pocket because you don't like carrying a separate wallet or purse. At the gate for your London flight, the agent scans it. Error. She tries again. Error. Sir, the RFID chip isn't reading. This passport is damaged. You say, but it looks new. On the outside, yes, she says. Inside, the chip is dead. One missed flight and about $1,600 in rebooking fees later, the point hits home. Inside every modern passport cover is a tiny antenna, folded enough times and it cracks. The chip dies even if the passport still looks brand new on the outside. Seniors keep passports for years and don't always inspect them carefully, and weaker eyesight makes small ripples, water stains, or peeling plastic easy to miss. From 2026 forward, more and more countries are pushing you through electronic gates that rely completely on that chip. If it won't scan, the system treats your passport as broken, not borderline. Okay, what do you do about this? Never fold or roll your passport. Stop carrying it in your back pocket where it gets sat on and bent. Keep it flat in a protective wallet, a document pouch, or a hard shell holder designed specifically for passports. If your eyes aren't great anymore, ask your kids or grandkids to check it under good light. If your photo is badly faded or you look very different now because of weight changes, hair changes, or aging, renew early. If you're already at the counter and the chip fails to scan, one calm line works far better than arguing. Say, "I'd like to request manual processing and I'll replace this passport after this trip." Rule number 6. Real ID versus real life. This is the one catching a lot of seniors off guard, even on simple trips to see family across the country. Since May 2025, TSA has been tightening real ID checks, and by 2026 they're enforcing it hard with no exceptions. Here's a real scenario that's happening every single day at airports. A grandmother shows up for a short domestic flight to visit her grandkids. She hands over her driver's license, the same one she's used for years without any problems. The TSA agent looks at it and says, "Ma'am, this doesn't have the real ID star. Do you have your passport?" She didn't bring it. It's a flight inside the United States. Why would she need a passport for a domestic trip? They send her to secondary screening, 45 minutes of questions, extra checks, a full pat-down. They finally let her through, but her flight is gone. She has to pay another few hundred to rebook. Why does this hit people over 60 so hard? Because many seniors still use old licenses they got years ago with no little gold or black star in the corner. They don't fly often. They don't follow every TSA update on social media or the news. And getting to the DMV, standing in line for hours, or driving across town isn't as easy as it used to be. In 2026, more and more checkpoints will simply treat those old licenses as not good enough and push seniors into long, exhausting identity checks. What do you do right now? Check your license. Look at the upper right corner. If there's no star, that license is not Real ID compliant. The best move if you're over 60 and fly at least once or twice a year is to use your passport as your main ID for flying, even on domestic trips. TSA accepts it everywhere, and you don't have to worry about whether your state has caught up with Real ID requirements yet. Rule number 5, Europe's new fingerprint and face scan gauntlet. Here's where it starts to feel a little invasive and physically demanding. Starting October 12, 2025, Europe rolled out the new entry-exit system called EES. By April 10, 2026, it became mandatory at almost every Schengen border. A 75-year-old couple from Seattle lands in Paris for their 50th anniversary trip. They expect a quick passport stamp like they've gotten on every previous trip to Europe. Instead, they're sent to a kiosk. Place your fingers here. Look at the camera. The husband has arthritis in his hands. His fingers won't sit flat on the scanner. The machine fails once, twice, 6 times. By the time they finally clear immigration, they've missed their train to Provence and have to pay $200 to rebook the next one. Why is this happening? Because under the new EES system, Europe now takes your face photo and 4 fingerprints every single time you enter or leave the Schengen zone. If you're older, walk slowly, use a cane or wheelchair, or have shaky, stiff hands from arthritis or tremors, that process simply takes longer. What do? Arrive at European airports about 30 minutes earlier than you used to. Build in extra buffer time. If you have arthritis or hand tremors, tell the immigration officer right away. They have procedures for medical issues, but they only use them if you speak up. Once you're in the system the first time, future entries are usually faster because your biometric data is already stored. If you're connecting in Europe, build in at least 90 minutes between flights. Skip those tight 45 to 60-minute layovers. The magic phrase to use if the scanner can't read your fingerprints is, "I have a medical condition with my hands, so my fingerprints are hard to scan. Is there an alternative process?" Rule number 4. ETIAS, Europe's no boarding without permission rule. And Europe still isn't done with new requirements. If you think fingerprints are annoying, wait until you hear about the new pre-approval you'll need before you even leave the United States. Most seniors don't even know this exists yet. For trips in late 2026 and beyond, Americans and other visa-exempt travelers will need ETIAS approval before flying to most of Europe. No ETIAS, no boarding, even if your passport is perfectly valid and you've traveled to Europe 20 times before. Picture this scenario. You've booked a dream river cruise through Europe. Passport ready, tickets printed, bags packed, everything looks perfect. At check-in, the airline agent asks, "Do you have your ETIAS authorization?" You've never heard of it. Nobody told you about it. They can't check you in without it. You jump on the airport Wi-Fi, rush through an online form, pay the fee, and hope it gets approved in time. For some travelers, that means hours of anxious waiting, a missed flight, and hundreds of dollars gone on rebooking, plus lost hotel or cruise days. Why is this particularly risky for seniors? ETIAS is Europe's version of an online pre-screen, similar to the US ESTA system. Most approvals happen quickly, but some can take up to 96 hours. If you're over 60, standing at the airport under that kind of stress is the last thing your body needs. What do? Apply for EDS at least 1 week before your flight. Earlier if you like to move slowly or if online forms aren't easy for you. Use the official EU website, and if technology isn't your strong suit, let someone you trust help you fill it out. The good news is, ETIAS is valid for 3 years or until your passport expires, whichever comes first. After you get approval, print the confirmation, save a copy on your phone, email it to yourself, have it in multiple places. Rule number 3, the digital ID trap. This one is catching a lot of seniors by surprise because it sounds so modern and convenient. TSA now accepts digital IDs in Apple Wallet and Google Wallet. Sounds great, right? No wallet to carry, no plastic card to lose. But here's the trap that nobody warns you about. A tech-savvy grandfather was so proud that he'd added his digital driver's license to his iPhone all by himself. At O'Hare Airport in Chicago, he confidently held up his phone at the security checkpoint. The scanner beeped red. The TSA agent said, "Sir, we don't accept digital IDs at this particular checkpoint. Do you have your physical license?" He didn't. After 30 minutes of questions and a supervisor call, they finally cleared him, but his boarding window was gone and the flight gate was already closed. Seniors get burned by this because they trust that TSA-approved label and don't always see the fine print that says it's only valid at select airports and select security lanes. Not every checkpoint has the equipment to read digital IDs yet, and standing through surprise secondary screening is far more tiring when you're in your 60s and 70s. What do? Always carry your physical ID. Whether that's your license or passport, even if you have a digital version on your phone. Treat digital ID as backup, not replacement. Keep your phone charged before you get to the airport and turn your screen brightness up. The magic move, if your digital ID fails, is to immediately say, "I have my physical ID as backup," and hand it over. Rule number 2, medically necessary liquids that still get thrown away. This is the rule TSA doesn't shout about, but it hits seniors the hardest because older travelers often rely on liquid medications and supplements that younger people don't need. On paper, liquid medications over 3.4 ounces are allowed through security if they're medically necessary and if you declare them properly. In real life, it's a very different story. Say you pack an 8-ounce liquid fiber supplement in your carry-on bag. You take it every single day. At the security screening, an agent pulls your bag aside. "Ma'am, this exceeds the liquid limit." You explain, "I take this every day. It's my medication." They ask, "Do you have documentation?" You had no idea you needed any. They confiscate the bottle. $28 gone, and the next 3 days of your cruise are spent miserable. Here's what's really going on behind the scenes. TSA does have a medical exemption for liquid medications, medical solutions, and some liquid supplements over 3.4 ounces. But that exemption only really works if you declare them up front at the checkpoint. If you leave it buried in your bag and don't say anything, the X-ray scanner flags it. An officer pulls it out, sees a mystery bottle over the size limit with no declaration and no paperwork. And the easiest move for them is to just throw it away. What do you do to protect yourself? Separate all liquid medications over 3.4 ounces before you even get to security. Put them in a small, clear zip bag or a dedicated pouch. As you approach the X-ray conveyor belt, say clearly and confidently, "I have medically necessary liquids to declare." The TSA officer will usually place that bag in a separate bin, maybe run a quick chemical test that takes about 30 seconds, and then you're done. Bring proof whenever you can. A prescription label with your name on it, a doctor's note, the original bottle showing your name, and dosing instructions. The magic phrase to use if an agent starts to push back is, "These are medically necessary liquids exempt under TSA guidelines." A pro tip that experienced senior travelers swear by is to print out the TSA page about medical liquids directly from tsa.gov. Fold it up and keep it in your medication bag. Seniors who do this say the conversation instantly gets smoother when they can point to the official rule in writing. Rule number 1, the blank passport pages rule, the silent trip killer. This is the silent trip killer, and it hits seniors harder than any other group. You can have years left before your passport expires and still be denied boarding at the gate. All it takes is not having enough empty space inside that little blue book. Many countries quietly require 1 to 4 completely blank pages, often 2 side by side, for visas and entry-exit stamps. If you don't have the right kind of blank pages in the right configuration, the airline can refuse to board you, even if your passport looks perfect and doesn't expire for another 5 years. That's how people lose thousands of dollars in non-refundable tickets in a single conversation at the check-in counter. Seniors are at higher risk for this problem because you tend to keep the same passport for many years, traveling regularly and collecting stamps and visas without really counting pages. Weaker eyesight and memory make it easy to miscount pages or miss half-used pages that have just one stamp on them. And with U.S. passports, you can't add pages anymore like you used to be able to do. If the book is full or nearly full, you must apply for a completely new passport, meaning more paperwork, more waiting, more logistics. What do you do right now? Open your passport and check it today. Count how many pages are totally blank. No stamps, no scribbles, no marks of any kind. Look carefully to see if you have at least 2 blank pages in a row on facing sides. If you're under 4 blank pages total, start planning a renewal right away, especially if you've got a longer trip coming up with multiple stops. Don't forget about the grandkids' passports if they're coming with you on the trip. Child passports only last 5 years instead of 10, and they fill up quickly. A smart habit to develop is when you get a new passport, take a photo of the first page with your information and the last page showing how many blank pages you have. After each big international trip, flip through the passport and see how many fresh pages you've used up. When the book is about halfway full, start working on the renewal process. The magic question to ask when booking any international trip is, does this destination require a minimum number of blank passport pages? It takes 10 seconds to ask your travel agent or look it up online, but it can save you a vacation worth several $1,000s. In the end, these 8 rules aren't here to scare you or make you afraid to travel. They're the cheapest insurance policy you can possibly have. A little bit of preparation now means that after 60, your energy goes into enjoying the trip, not arguing with airport staff at the gate or sitting in secondary screening for hours. If you made it this far in this video, you're already doing more than most travelers your age will ever do. You now know the exact traps that cost seniors the most money, the most energy, and the most sleep before a big trip. Take 10 minutes after watching this video. Grab your passport, your driver's license, and your medications. Run through these 8 checks while everything is still fresh in your mind. Check your passport expiration and add 6 months. Count your blank pages. Look for any damage to the cover or chip. Check for the real ID star on your license. Make a list of any liquid medications you'll be taking. Look up ETIAS if you're going to Europe. Your future self standing at the airport will thank you for taking these simple steps today. This has been U.S. Immigration Intel, bringing you the most important travel information that can save you time, money, and stress. If this video helped you feel even a little more in control of your upcoming travel plans, please tap the like button so YouTube shows this to more travelers over 60 who desperately need this information. Tell me in the comments which rule surprised you the most or which one you've already run into at TSA or immigration. I read every single comment, and your experiences help other viewers learn what to watch out for. And if you want more step-by-step senior-friendly travel guides covering everything from carry-on packing tricks to new baggage rules and seating regulations, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from U.S. Immigration Intel. You've worked too hard your entire life to let one missing passport page or one forgotten form ruin the trip you've been dreaming about. Let's make sure your next flight is spent in the air enjoying yourself, not arguing at the gate or sitting in a TSA office answering questions. Safe travels from all of us here at U.S. Immigration Intel. And remember, a little preparation today means smooth journeys tomorrow.